So many times whenever I see an Avengers versus Justice League mashup, it's always highly favored in the Justice League's favor. I mean, it's like Superman, Flash, GL, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Martian Manhunter versus Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America, and Hawkeye. Like, do you really think Hawkeye or Black Widow could even stand a chance against Flash or Wonder Woman? Not at all. Not at all. The only ones who will be able to fight will be Hulk and Thor, and that would just be incredibly unfair. So today we're going to try and create the ultimate Justice League versus Avengers showdown, and to do that, we'll divide it up into street level characters, mid-level characters, and then cosmic level characters. And this is my first time doing a big team battle like this, and this is a massive undertaking, so I'm going to take 10 heroes from each team for each level and pit them in a one-on-one battle. Then whoever wins will move on to the next round to fight again. And let's say if the GL has more victories than the Avengers in one round, then there will be a 2-on-1 fight next round. I know it's not necessarily a full-on team fight, but it seems to me the best way to do it and the most fair. Also, I'm not going to be going into great detail of each character's background and powers, because we don't have time for that. I'm just going to dive right into the breakdown of the fight, so with that being said, let's dive right on in. So the first round we have Batman, Green Arrow, Nightwing, Black Canary, Hawkman, Vixen, Red Arrow, Hawkgirl, Batwing, and Huntress for the Justice League, and Captain America, SpiderMan, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Black Panther, Wolverine, Winter Soldier, Daredevil, Spider-Woman, and Falcon for the Avengers. They'll be fighting in an abandoned New York City in the evening time. I've tried to make the matchups unique, but as fair as possible. Let's get started with round 1. Captain America versus Green Arrow. So Captain America is obviously physically superior to Ollie. I mean, the guy is the pinnacle of human physical potential. He's also a better fighter than Green Arrow. Ollie has had some major upgrades in regards to his hand-to-hand skills, but it's still nothing in comparison to Cap, since Steve is one of the top 5 fighters in the entire Marvel Universe. But Green Arrow has held his own against Deathstroke before, who is also a super soldier and an incredible fighter, so he's definitely not out of the fight. Green Arrow is incredibly accurate with that bow and arrow of his, and is so good that he should be able to tag Cap a couple times, or at least catch him by surprise with some trick arrows. But Steve is durable enough to take it. You also have to factor in his shield, which is going to be near impossible to get past, and Cap can use it incredibly effectively as an offensive and defensive weapon. Overall, Captain America just has had too many advantages in this fight, and he moves on to the next round. Batman versus Hawkeye. So this fight is a lot like Cap versus Green Arrow. Batman is physically superior to Hawkeye, and he's also a much greater fighter than Clint. I wouldn't rule out Hawkeye in the hand-to-hand area though, especially since he put up the bow and fought as Ronin for a while. They're still not equals in fighting though. Hawkeye's greatest asset is his bow and arrow, and he will probably be able to catch Bruce off guard with a few trick arrows, especially since he doesn't have a nice defense like Steve's shield. But Bruce has a wide arsenal at his disposal, and all that gear, plus his stealth, greater fighting ability, and physical strength, should secure him a pretty comfortable victory. Nightwing versus Black Widow. Now this one is pretty interesting and should be a hard-fought battle. It's tough to say who has a physical advantage, because while Dick is in peak physical condition, Natasha is the physical potential for a woman. However, Nightwing is the greatest acrobat in the DC Universe, and I don't think Black Widow can compete with that. They're also both great fighters. While Dick has been trained by Batman, Natasha has years of experience on him. I think this is really where Nightwing's speed and acrobatic skill are going to come into play though, and he should be able to dodge more attacks and land more blows than Black Widow can. We also have to take into account their gear and gadgets. While Black Widow will have her pistols and the Widow's Bite, which can be very painful, everyone in the Bat family is famous for their plethora of gadgets at their disposal. With that being said, Nightwing should take a nice advantage in this department, and overall, I believe he takes the victory. Black Panther versus Black Canary. Now, Black Panther is physically superior to Black Canary, thanks to the heart-shaped herb and the blessing from the Panther goddess, actually making him superhuman, while Dinah is just in peak physical condition. They are both incredible fighters, and are actually some of the best fighters in their respective universes, so this is pretty tough. I'd have to give the edge to T'Challa though, mostly because I think his anti-metal claws and energy daggers would give him an advantage over her. But then we have Black Canary's Canary Cry, which has been said to be able to liquefy bones. I mean, how in the world can Black Panther counter that? Well, for starters, Dinah doesn't use her Canary Cry right off the bat, and she tends to start off just using her hand-to-hand ability. Secondly, T'Challa has a vibranium microwave mesh armor, and vibranium is able to rob kinetic energy, and the Cry is literally all kinetic energy. I mean, just look at how it holds up against Claw and his sonic weapon. So while it might hurt Black Panther, I don't think it's going to put him down for the count, and Panther's greater physical ability and fighting skill should give him the victory. Spider-Man versus Hawkman. This is another tough fight, and really one that either could win. I don't want to brag, but I'm pretty proud of myself for putting all these fights together. Okay, so let's break it down. For starters, Spider-Man is physically superior. Hawkman can lift 5 tons, has a nice healing factor, and has the ability to fly, but Peter is able to lift over 10 tons, has his spider sense, and is one of the most agile characters ever. While Hawkman is impressive, Peter's strength, speed, and agility are going to give him the edge. Hawkman does have some nice weapons at his disposal though, and has more experience than Spider-Man. Plus, that nth metal is no joke. Overall though, Peter has experienced fighting winged opponents before, like the Vulture. His web shooters will definitely come in handy, and his strength, spider sense, and agility give him the edge and the victory. Wolverine versus Vixen. So Wolverine's advantages going into this fight are clearly his healing factor and his adamantium claws. I don't care what animal Vixen channels, if she gets punctured by those claws, it's going to mess her up. There's also his healing factor to take into account, because Logan is really going to be able to take most punishment that Vixen dishes out. He's also a better and more skilled fighter than she is, if he's actually using his abilities and not acting like a feral animal, that is. But Vixen just has so much versatility on her side. She's faster, has energy attacks from electric eels and animals like that, has super strength up to 90 tons, can fly, has a healing factor as well, venomous attacks, although I doubt that would work on Logan, and enhanced agility and durability. In the long run, I think that Vixen has so much versatility on her side that she should be able to eventually beat Wolverine. Winter Soldier versus Red Arrow. Unlike Captain America and the Bucky Barnes in the MCU, the Winter Soldier in the Earth 616 universe does not have the Super Soldier Serum, and it's instead at peak physical condition, same as Red Arrow. However, Bucky's cybernetic arm does make him considerably stronger, so I'd have to give him the physical advantage. Bucky is also the better fighter. Not that Roy isn't a capable hand-to-hand fighter, he's a decent one, but he tends to rely heavily on his bow and arrow. But that bow has gotten him very far, and it's going to make for one tough fight, especially with his trick arrows. However, Bucky has his pistol and knives, and he's been able to actually shoot Clint's arrows and Daredevil's baton out of the air. Very impressive. And while those trick arrows might give Winter Soldier some trouble, Bucky outclasses Roy in terms of everything except accuracy. And I really don't think Red Arrow brings anything to the table that Bucky hasn't dealt with before. Winter Soldier wins and moves on. Daredevil versus Huntress. Huntress is in above average shape, but it can't really compare with Daredevil. Not only is Matt stronger, faster, and more agile, but his radar sense is just incredibly impressive. He's gonna know her every move and be able to dodge most all of her attacks. And Helena does not typically utilize sonic weapons, so she won't have anything to counter with. I doubt she'll even be able to detect that Matt is actually blind. Daredevil is by far the better hand-to-hand fighter, but Huntress's greatest asset is her crossbow. This will keep Matt on his toes, but I believe he'll be able to dodge most of her arrows, and after that, it shouldn't be too difficult to put Huntress down for the count. Hawkgirl versus Spider-Woman. Thanks to the nth metal, Hawkgirl has super strength, durability, and senses, as well as the ability to fly. However, Spider-Woman also possesses superhuman strength, speed, reflexes, durability, agility, and endurance, as well as the ability to shoot bioelectric energy she calls Venom Blasts. that can stun or even kill normal humans. Hawkgirl has several lifetimes worth of fighting experience and is an expert for mace, but I feel like Jessica has a wider base of knowledge when it comes to fighting, as she's an expert in boxing, judo, karate, and other martial arts, and was trained by Taskmaster and received Hydra and SHIELD training. Now, I don't know who is actually physically superior in this fight, but Jessica actually has quite a lot of experience taking down more physically powerful opponents, so that really shouldn't be too much of a problem for her. I think her wider skill set, excellent fighting ability, and Venom Blast should really seal the deal and ensure her the victory. Falcon versus Batwing. So both of these guys are decent fighters, and even though Falcon has received some training from Captain America, I might have to give the slight edge to Batwing because it seems like he has knowledge in more forms of martial arts. When it comes to flying, Falcon has the clear advantage, as he's been doing it longer, and it's even been said that he is a better aerial fighter than Iron Man and Captain Marvel. Falcon also has the ability to communicate with birds, but I really don't see that coming into play in this battle. I guess what it really comes down to, though, is who has the better equipment. Right now, I'm pretty sure Falcon is using vibranium wings, and while they can absorb a lot of damage, Batwing has a ton more versatility on his end. Overall, I gotta give the edge and victory to Batwing for his greater fighting ability and equipment. Plus, even though I like Falcon, he's never really impressed me that much when it comes to fighting. Alright, now move on to round 2. Now at this point, both teams have been able to size each other up, and since the Avengers have more members remaining, they'll be able to double team some of the more powerful Justice League members. It's also important to note that they will all be transitioning directly from the first round, and won't have any time to recover, so how hard their first battle was might have some play in how they do in their second battle. So we got Batman versus Captain America and Daredevil. Now Batman is the best fighter on the Justice League, and after the Avengers saw how quickly he dispatched Hawkeye, he was double teamed by both Captain America and Daredevil, who were thankfully able to dispatch their opponents rather quickly too. Batman's first play will be able to sneak into the shadows and wait for an opportune time to strike, but that's not going to work thanks to Daredevil's radar sense. Once they locate Bruce in the shadows, they're going to press the attack and force him to face them, and this won't give Batman really much time to form a strategy. He's going to have to eventually face them head to head, and that is going to be too much for Bruce, since both of these fighters will be enough for him on their own. While Batman will try his hardest, and will land some nice hits on both Cap and Daredevil, Steve and Matt will end up standing victorious and both will move on. Nightwing versus Winter Soldier. This is a tough matchup, and one I could really see going either way. Winter Soldier will be in better shape, because I think he'll be able to take down Red Arrow quicker than Nightwing can beat Black Widow. But Dick will still be able to put up a fight. Bucky is stronger thanks to his arm, but Nightwing is definitely faster and more agile. Dick is also a better fighter, thanks to his training from Batman, and he's also a smarter fighter. Nightwing has more versatile gear, and I believe his first move will probably be to try and shut down Bucky's arm to give him a quick advantage. Even if Nightwing can't shut down the arm, though, I think his acrobatic and fighting skills will eventually be too much for Buck, and he'll put the Winter Soldier down. Black Panther versus Batwing. This one's pretty easy for me. Even though Black Panther would have just gotten through a rough fight with Black Canary, Black Panther far outclasses Batwing in everything from physical ability to fighting to gear, and even though Batwing has the flying advantage, it's not going to be enough to stop T'Challa. Black Panther takes a pretty convincing victory. Spider-Man and Spider-Woman versus Vixen. All three of these heroes will be coming off of a very difficult fight, and odds are they're pretty banged up. Now, Spider-Man versus Vixen is actually a really interesting fight, and one that I'd really like to see. But I think the addition of Spider-Woman is going to be a bit more than Vixen can handle. Spider-Man is too quick and agile, and throw in his spider sense, and he's going to be very hard for Vixen to hit. I ultimately think that Spider-Man will be her downfall, but she won't go down for the fight, and I think she'll probably take Spider-Woman down with her. Now we have round 3, which is Spider-Man, Daredevil, Black Panther, Captain America versus Nightwing. Now this one is really no question. Nightwing is a tough opponent, and he's got a warrior's heart, so he's not going to give up without a fight. But there's literally no way he stands a chance against 4 of the best street level heroes Marvel has to offer. All 4 of the Avengers will be standing by the end of the fight. So the Avengers won a pretty convincing victory against the Justice League when it came to street level heroes, with 4 heroes making it all the way through the fight. But I've always believed that Marvel has better street level characters than DC does. And if y'all are upset about the way I laid out these fights, especially with putting Batman versus Hawkeye and Green Arrow versus Captain America in the first fight, I really don't think it's that big of a deal, and I don't think it would change anything. Because let's say we threw Cap versus Batman and Green Arrow versus Hawkeye in the first fight. Well, in my opinion, Captain America moves on. I've made a whole video about that. And Green Arrow moves on. I made a whole video about that. So then round 2, we have Captain America and Daredevil versus Green Arrow. Captain America and Daredevil still win pretty easily. So you can kind of mix and match these fights however you want to. I think my way was the most entertaining and the best. But overall, Marvel's going to win. They have better street level characters. They have better street level fighters. Nobody's taking on SpiderMan. Black Panther's going to be a tough opponent. This is just the way it's going to go. I'm positive that this is the way it's going to go. But the real question is going to be what happens when we throw characters like Flash, Thor, Superman, and Doctor Strange into the mix. But that'll have to wait, because the next Avengers vs. Justice League mashup is going to feature Iron Man, Blue Beetle, Aquaman, The Thing, and more. So stay tuned for that. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button for videos just like this one every single week.